mRNA vaccines were hailed as medical breakthroughs in the fight against COVID. Now, the US Department of Health and Human Services is slashing $500 million in government funding for mRNA vaccine development.
The most urgent invention in the world right now is a vaccine that prevents you from getting COVID-19. It's going to have to go to 7 billion people. One final way that's promising is the RNA vaccine.
Messenger RNA.
Messenger RNA.
Get it done. We need it. We want it fast.
The FDA is fast-tracking a possible coronavirus vaccine.
If we had a pandemic, wink, wink, we could emergency authorize this new mRNA technology.
There was never a vaccine made with mRNA.
Messenger RNA, which we had no previous experience with, none.
The mRNA technology scares me. It's a brand new technology being used.
When people received their first COVID-19 vaccine, it was the first time their body received lipid nanoparticles.
People historically have this confidence in the concept of, oh, it's just a vaccine. Lipid nanoparticles go everywhere in the body. To the brain, to the bone marrow, to the liver, to the spleen, most importantly, to the reproductive organs.
I regret it every single day that I walked into my local pharmacy to get that shot in my arm.
It's very likely that the mRNA vaccines accelerate coronary artery disease.
Not one more shot should be delivered.
It's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen.
The mRNA vaccines, its uses are being expanded tremendously.
Huge applause to Dr. Robert Miller.
It's perceived that there is a gold mine, a huge amount of potential profit to be made with this new technology.
Joel Walskog had a fulfilling career as a surgeon, but he had no choice but to abandon his calling due to the severity of his health problems after an mRNA COVID vaccine.
I had a very busy practice. I specialized in joint replacement because of my extra training. It was a great practice. I saw about 6,000 patients in clinic every year, and I did about 800 to 900 surgical procedures per year. That's a very busy practice. You took people that were in a lot of pain and functionally disabled from it, and you do a joint replacement like a hip or a knee replacement, and literally 6 weeks later, their life has dramatically changed. So it was very gratifying for me too. I enjoyed getting up every day, and I always told my kids, try to find something that you love, because almost every day I was excited about going to work.
A week after his vaccination, Joel's health began to rapidly decline.
About 7 days later, I remember waking up from bed and telling my wife that my feet were numb. So maybe 1 week later, after my numbness started, I remember I was at work and I was sitting in a clinic room talking to a patient, and I tried to stand up, and literally my legs wouldn't go. There was just no reaction. My legs wouldn't help me stand. So I remember using my hands to push my body up, and as soon as I tried to stand, I fell, and just my legs gave out. And really it was at that time when I knew that there was something more serious or more ominous going on. Very quickly I got diagnosed with a condition called transverse myelitis. I realized that my condition was much more serious, and unfortunately I've never been back to work since. I couldn't work. I went through probably every phase of grief. I certainly was in denial. I had a long period of being very angry. Unfortunately, my leg weakness, my leg numbness, my loss of stamina, my balance problems have never improved. I have about 2 to 4 hours on my legs a day, so I can get around most days okay for 2 to 4 hours. But after that, my legs are pretty much done for the day, and I spend a lot of time on my recliner in our family room where I can read and do things like that. Sometimes I get neuropathic or kind of bad pain flares. Sometimes the flares are so bad pain-wise or weakness-wise that I have to go on steroids, and the steroids usually can get me out of a flare. Also, since my injury, it's interesting that my blood pressure has been elevated, my heart rate's been elevated ever since my injury. Just about 2 or 3 months ago, I started passing out. So sometimes I could tell where I was getting a little dizzy, but about 2 months ago, I was sitting at our kitchen table, and my kids just said I started kind of speaking gibberish, then kind of keeled over and fell on the floor.
In the race to end a global pandemic, a novel genetic vaccine technology was fast-tracked under the banner of Operation Warp Speed, and billions of doses were administered worldwide. Now, the former director of the CDC and an advisor to Operation Warp Speed has raised concerns about what he sees as potential shortcomings of mRNA vaccines.
The mRNA vaccine, where I use this vaccine, helped develop it. I don't use it anymore in my patients.
Redfield believes that while mRNA vaccines helped reduce severe illness, he no longer recommends the technology due to potential risks with spike protein production.
I turn your body into a factory, but I have no controls over that factory. Right. I mean, you can make a lot, you can make a little, and you can make it for a week, you can make it for 6 months. I don't think it's unreasonable to go re-examine the safety of what we know about these vaccines.
Regulators and the WHO state that COVID vaccines have saved millions of lives with minimal safety concerns.
This vaccine, the mRNA vaccines, probably saved about 3 million lives.
I think that was the greatest scientific or medical achievement in my lifetime.
At the same time, it's widely acknowledged that protection wanes.
The current vaccines are not infection blocking. When new variants come up, you lose protection, and they have very short duration. Every one of those things is fixable.
While the majority of the scientific community considers the COVID vaccines safe, thousands of doctors and scientists are calling for a halt to mRNA vaccines. For years, a growing number of prominent experts have been investigating what they believe could be serious potential harms linked to these vaccines.
So I'll see the next slide before I cover it. Is the solution to get through the truth out to the public around these major issues?
And again, we've got good quality observational data showing increase in heart attacks and cardiac arrest in people aged between 16 and 40, so younger people, which was associated with the vaccine and not with COVID. That's from Israel.
Having some of the brightest minds from around the world come together.
Get injured and then you sue your...
This is a group of highly competent professionals that are seeking to obtain answers.
Huge applause to Dr. Robert Malone.
Robert Malone, one of the inventors of mRNA technology, voices his concerns about the safety of mRNA vaccines.
The evidence about the adverse events from the vaccines is unequivocal. It is absolutely overwhelming. These adverse events clearly include myocarditis and a number of other things, including in particular clotting disorders. But we're just still learning about many of the long-term adverse events.
Robert Malone's website lists nearly 800 papers on mRNA vaccine side effects.
Robert Malone is a brilliant man. He was a brilliant researcher. He could reasonably have won the Nobel Prize. Really, it was that good. The stuff that he did was that much of a breakthrough.
At that time, I had a series of discoveries that led to 9 issued patents, which are the foundation technology for mRNA vaccines as well as DNA vaccination. No fences, no barn. This old barn that's falling down was here, but it was...
Before the pandemic, Robert Malone was highly regarded in the academic world and enjoyed a fulfilling life at his homestead with his wife, Jill.
We don't sell our mature mares. They're kind of our family. And this one right here, that's his great-grandmother. She scored very high on inspection.
This is a technology that may have held promise at some point in time if the problems could have been solved. It may have been destroyed, its positive potential, by this crazy rush to deploy it globally before it was ready.
When Malone raised questions about the safety of COVID vaccines, his life was forever changed, and his concerns were categorically dismissed.
These are highly credentialed people who are suffering from some kind of deep misunderstanding or delusion.
Those are the people I worry about because they're credentialed.
We now have a modern studio and a 4-camera system.
Now, Robert is on a mission, conducting countless interviews and giving lectures to educate the public about the potential dangers of COVID vaccines and the rapid deployment of new mRNA products.
There are over 200 different clinical trials currently planned for mRNA-based technology, and over 40 trials are currently enrolling.
Could m-rna technology potentially be introduced into the food supply through the vaccination of dairy cattle?
The administration of these types of technologies in humans has demonstrated that they can be shed in breast milk in humans. And so it's likely that they could be shed in milk from dairy cattle.
Science that can't be questioned is propaganda.
When we took an oath in medicine to first do no harm, where did that go?
Ryan Cole, a pathologist with expertise in virology and immunology. He believes that the harms of the COVID vaccines are significant and downplayed.
It's crazy to think that people that aren't doctors, aren't scientists, were pushing something that never worked.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
And there were billions spread around and shared amongst each other. And now we have millions of people around the world that carry permanent harm for the rest of their lives, who are now paralyzed, who now have neurodegenerative disease, who now have severe autoimmune diseases. People historically have this confidence in the concept of, oh, it's just a vaccine. Well, no, it's not. And then they want to mandate these on people. Well, we have this new technology, everybody needs to get it.
Getting everyone vaccinated.
It's very likely that the mRNA vaccines accelerate coronary artery disease. Now, as a cardiologist, that's really, really bad. Because what we've done is we have introduced into the population another risk factor for heart disease and heart attacks. That means we will see an increased prevalence of heart attacks and sudden cardiac death going on for years. And that's my biggest fear.
This paper by Bowmeyer shows the spike protein staining in that salmon color is physically in the heart.
We shouldn't have Wuhan spike protein in young boys hospitalized in Germany with myocarditis.
As we sit here today, there's over 3,000 papers in the peer-reviewed literature that describe COVID-19 vaccine injuries, disabilities, and deaths.
Peter McCullough is a widely published cardiologist whose extensive knowledge and expertise have established him as a leading authority in the field of cardiology.
Prior to the pandemic, I had focused on the interface between heart and kidney disease, and in that domain, I was the most published person in the world in history and remain to that day. I've given grand rounds in every major institution in the United States, published extensively across all the major journals. I was the editor of 2 major journals.
Peter McCullough believes observational and case studies suggest a possible link between the vaccine and serious conditions.
Encephalitis, seizures, and then dangerous intracranial hemorrhages and strokes. Now, outside in the peripheral nervous system, papers have been written demonstrating the vaccines over time, particularly cumulative toxicity, cause a small fiber neuropathy, and they cause dysregulation of the sympathetic nervous system. We call this posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. The COVID-19 vaccines cause myocarditis. They cause heart damage.
Heart attack deaths have become more common across all age groups.
Experts call for much more research into health issues that have risen during and after the pandemic, taking into account the effects of COVID, vaccines, and lockdowns.
Sudden death among healthy working-age people worldwide is skyrocketing.
There has been an increased rise, a sharp rise in unexplained deaths during the pandemic, deaths that are not listed as COVID-related.
Cardiac arrest incidents are at the highest ever recorded in Victoria.
This situation that we're in, it was all predictable.
These experts deliver a clear message. The COVID vaccines, especially those using mRNA technology, should be stopped immediately. They also urge a much greater focus and allocation of resources to investigate all safety signals.
I think I'm uniquely qualified to speak on what's been going on for the last years. I actually have degrees in applied mathematics, immunology, computational biology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. These things need to stop being pushed and given today. Not one more shot should be delivered. It's the constant same message that's not true. I'm referring to primarily the safe and effective message still being put out today. These mRNA products specifically, those are the ones I know the most about, are neither. And so the main message is that the people who are injured, who haven't made the connection between, why they're injured and why they're suffering, I want to provide them, the most help. First of all, to know that they're not alone. If they're being gaslit even by their own doctor, there are people out there who are establishing protocols to help the vaccine injured.
The post-vaccination community is desperately seeking treatments and a supportive environment where they feel seen.
If there's anyone who's lost someone in their family to the jab, could they please stand up? If there's anyone in this room who's been personally injured by the vaccine, could they please stand up? Please keep standing. If you know anyone who has been injured by the jab, please stand up.
Paul Merrick is recognized as one of the world's top specialists in pulmonary and critical care. Having authored over 500 peer-reviewed publications, he is established as one of the most published physicians in his field.
COVID doesn't, vaccine doesn't, many diseases.
Paul Merrick and his team are working on solutions for what he believes is a health catastrophe following mass vaccination.
They were never safe nor effective. They've harmed countless millions of people. It should never have happened, and it's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen. These so-called vaccines, I think, represent the worst of COVID and the worst of this deceit, dishonesty that we've seen. And I think we provide part of the answer to this terrible problem we're facing. To really overcome that, the only remedy is structured.
Experts critical of COVID vaccines point to biopsy findings, thousands of case reports, and large studies which they believe reveal real harm. Health authorities and much of the scientific community find the claims unconvincing and point to thousands of studies as evidence that the vaccines are well-researched and safe. They argue that safety monitoring and research indicate side effects are very rare, and they view case reports and biopsies as inconclusive for linking them to vaccination. The new FDA director is launching a national study into COVID-19 vaccine harms.
We have not gotten full elucidation of the risks of these mRNA vaccines. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed that they've been vaccine injured. I take those concerns very seriously.
What is inside my arm? What's in my arm? What's in my arm, yo?
In this chapter, let's break down the science using 3D visuals to show how the mRNA vaccine works and explore its potential links to clotting and heart damage. But first, let's recognize that messenger RNA isn't just a man-made invention. In its natural form, it's a marvel within our bodies. Evolution has gifted life with the wonders of genetic coding, the blueprint of existence. In this grand symphony of life, messenger mRNA plays a vital part. The magnificent diversity of life stems from humble beginnings, evolving over billions of years to attain its marvelous complexity. The journey from primitive beings to complex creatures would not have been possible without the genetic blueprint called DNA and the related molecule RNA. DNA holds all the instructions to maintain the body. These instructions are then copied from DNA into smaller snippets called messenger RNA, which are the to-do list for each cell. So you can think of DNA as the blueprint, and mRNA is the project manager bringing plans to life.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade.
During the space race of the 1950s and 60s, genetics research saw rapid progress, including the discovery of messenger RNA in 1961. Today, scientists have figured out how to create a synthetic, modified version of mRNA in the lab that is engineered to last longer and evade immune detection. Our cells mistake this lab-made mRNA as their own, and our body starts to create proteins for therapeutics or vaccines. The modified mRNA vaccines are created on a computer in a lab, without using a real virus. These genetic vaccines only required the genetic sequence of the coronavirus.
We never had access to the physical virus to design the product.
In the early stages of the pandemic, Chinese scientists released the genetic code of the coronavirus, sparking a global race to develop a vaccine.
As soon as we get that sequence, let's plug it into mRNA. That's all I needed was the sequence.
They used the genetic code provided by Chinese scientists as a backbone for their mRNA vaccine. The modified genetic code in the vaccine instructs our bodies to produce only a specific part of the coronavirus rather than the entire virus itself.
Vaccine platforms are using what's called the spike protein of the coronavirus.
The spike proteins are the tiny spikes on the surface of the virus. Once this mRNA code is injected into your body, it instructs your cells to make these coronavirus spikes. By creating these spikes in our body, our immune system should build immunity against this specific part of the virus.
The worst mistake of all would be to take messenger RNA and then have it code for a lethal protein that was engineered in a Chinese biosecurity lab. That was a disaster.
The mRNA technology is exceptionally complicated and unlike anything we have seen with standard vaccines.
When people received their first COVID-19 vaccine, it was the first time their body received lipid nanoparticles.
The mRNA vaccine dose is filled with tiny bubbles of fat called lipid nanoparticles. These fat bubbles protect the modified mRNA from degrading and help it enter cells. Once inside, the mRNA instructs the cells to produce a genetically engineered version of the spike protein.
The lipid nanoparticles, when they attach to cells, then the lipid nanoparticles dump off their payload, messenger RNA. The messenger RNA then is taken into the cytoplasm of the cell. It's read by ribosomes over and over and over again. The spike protein, which is a foreign protein, is expressed on the surface of cells.
The injection of mRNA vaccines turns our bodies into spike protein manufacturing sites. With every dose, a substantial amount of these modified spike proteins are created inside your body. The scientific community has stated that the spike protein created by the vaccine is harmless. Concerns have been raised about its potential to cause harm. A Yale preprint detected spike protein up to 709 days after vaccination in patients with post-vaccination syndrome.
The code that they used is for the spike protein. Early on in the pandemic, we learned that the spike protein is the toxic part of this virus that causes clotting, that causes inflammation, that causes myocarditis, that causes brain fog.
The spike protein directly causes blood clotting and is found in the middle of large blood clots.
Researchers have concerns that the immune response triggered by mRNA vaccines could potentially lead to excessive attacks on our tissues and organs.
And any cell that makes this foreign protein now becomes a target of your own immune cells to attack as well.
Those cells will be attacked immunologically, as if they're infected with the virus.
The immune system detects the presence of spikes and initiates the destruction of the infected cells. These cells become a target for our immune system to hunt and kill.
It immediately evokes an autoimmune reaction in each and every cell that is expressed.
Health officials have been cautious in acknowledging that these particles may have the potential to distribute beyond the injection site. If these particles enter the bloodstream, they may potentially increase risks. A widespread distribution could result in the production of spike protein in various organs.
Lipid nanoparticles go everywhere in the body, as in everywhere. To the brain, to the bone marrow, to the liver, to the spleen, most importantly to the reproductive organs, to the testes, to the ovaries. So lipid nanoparticles can't be controlled.
Most of the lipids should stay in the shoulder, and they are designed to efficiently enter the deltoid muscle cells, but they can also be taken up by other cells in the body. So not only can the cells in your deltoid muscle be turned into spike production sites, but also cells in your heart muscle and organs. Current leading theories of mRNA vaccine-related cardiovascular problems include spike protein expression in tissues and molecular mimicry of the spike protein. The late pathologist Arne Burkhardt and his team examined over 100 biopsies from individuals suspected of having suffered adverse reactions to vaccines, some of which were fatal.
And the destruction of the endothelium may be one of the major factors.
These biopsies provide clues about how the vaccine may contribute to damage to organs and tissues.
Our findings are so alarming that the vaccination should be stopped immediately, and especially the vaccination of children.
When these tiny fat particles enter the bloodstream, they may be absorbed by the walls of blood vessels or the heart. If these tissues produce spike proteins, our immune system may attack these areas, causing potentially serious damage to the vessel walls or the heart.
We found spike protein in many organs and many tissues. Spike protein was in the endothelium and in the vessels, in the vessel walls.
Arne Burkhardt's autopsy findings align with a growing body of biopsy and biodistribution studies, including one that used deep learning to track lipid nanoparticle distribution in animals.
It was actually known before it was deployed in humans, based on rodent models, that these products went all over the body, and yet they persisted to continue to deploy them.
Health agencies approved mRNA vaccines, knowing that lipid nanoparticles can spread to different organs in animal studies. They conclude that any spread of mRNA beyond the injection site is minimal and short-lived, and have not raised major concerns about the spike protein. Research cited by health agencies shows no conclusive evidence of significant harm in humans.
We never use experimental products in pregnant women. We never use it in children. In this situation, we've done both. And we don't know what's going to happen to these children long term after the shot. If you look at some of the studies, where does the vaccine, where does the spike protein like to go to? To women's ovaries, to men's testes? And how is it going to affect their future fertility, their ability to have children? The answer is, we don't know. There is no long-term safety data.
My doctor, while I was pregnant, said, I'm going to give you the vaccine. I have another client. The baby's totally fine. The baby's immune to COVID. This is a really good thing. And I was like, I wanted to please my doctor. I love my doctor, you know. I respect doctors. And so I got home and I told my husband, I'm thinking about doing this. He's like, no, don't, just don't. Let's wait till after. I said, okay. I regret it every single day that I walked into my local pharmacy to get that shot in my arm. But the news got me when they said, hey, you're gonna have to protect your children. And I'm a new mother, and well, what are you gonna do? I wanna protect my child.
And they're safe and they're highly effective. That these are safe and effective.
Those two words haunt me to this day, and that's safe and effective. Which this vaccine was not safe for me, and it was not effective. Safe and effective, while there's neuropathy and pain throughout my whole body, I can't think straight, I have brain fog, I can't dance anymore.
Jessica's serious condition has put an indefinite pause on her career as a multi-talented artist. Jessica Sutta rose to stardom as a key member of the Pussycat Dolls, one of the best-selling girl groups of all time, with 55 million records sold.
I've had the most incredible experiences in my career. After the COVID shot, I have not been able to dance again, and I don't know if I ever will dance again.
Following the mRNA vaccine, Jessica developed severe autoimmune-like symptoms, leaving her in excruciating pain and relentless fatigue for over 3 years.
So about 2 days after the first shot, I woke up with the most excruciating muscle spasm in my right rib. It spread through my whole entire rib cage, burning, stabbing, the most awful, intense pain that no pain reliever can take away. I had a stammer for a while where I couldn't put words together, and I had involuntary head jerks and leg jerks, overall fatigue, joint pain all throughout my whole body. And during this, I lost about 50 pounds in 3 months. I feel like my body is eating itself. As I sit in front of you right now, I'm in so much pain, I could just cry. So life for me is just a painful existence every single day. Honest to God, I feel like I just turned 41, and I feel like I'm 100. I never knew 41 would feel like 100. Yeah, it's devastating. I don't want anyone to go through what I'm going through. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. And the fact that they did this to kids, because I can't imagine this happening to a young child.
mRNA technology, it's still new, and it seems like there are a lot of possibilities for where this could be used.
The lowest hanging fruit is other vaccines.
The mRNA vaccines, its uses are being expanded tremendously into other vaccines and then into animals, which terrifies me because we just don't know any long-term data.
While these mRNA vaccines aren't meant to alter our genes, they do use our gene machinery. With the rise of mRNA products, our bodies are becoming factories for drug production. These experts emphasize extreme caution to protect current and future generations from any potential health disasters, as we've seen with toxic substances in the past, such as lead, asbestos, and DDT.
Dusting with DDT was begun at once.
They're working on this technology, this lipid nanoparticle plus a gene sequence, for so many other viruses and infectious diseases now.
By helping to create the vaccines that really rescued us from the coronavirus. I'm here with Stefan Bancel, who is the CEO of Moderna. What's next?
So what we're working on is a lot of vaccines, around 30 plus vaccines today.
The FDA has approved Moderna's RSV vaccine for people 60 and older.
To approve a new type of self-amplifying mRNA vaccine.
And they want to do this, and they want people to think, see, we used it during COVID. Wasn't it great that we were able to warp speed it? No, it's not great. Now they've got 50 more racing trains coming down the tracks because they think they have permission.
There's such a success of mRNA technology.
The mRNA technology is a very powerful technology.
Throughout the pandemic, world leaders championed the new mRNA vaccine platforms, expanding their use to other vaccines.
Indeed, mRNA vaccines will be central to the EU's preparedness plan for fighting COVID-19 and other viruses.
It is a great moment for us, and it's a great moment for all the thousands of people working here. They feel very excited about your visit.
And this pioneering technology could be the backbone of our future vaccine portfolio.
Hello, everybody. Mr. President, thank you. AI holds incredible promise for all of us. Design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine.
It's a strand of mRNA, the code of life inside every cell of your body. Then it has the power to change everything. Moderna, this changes everything.
Are companies like Moderna. This is a revolutionary biotech firm that's creating a whole new class of medicines based on messenger RNA, the software of life. Well, it's almost science fiction what you're up to.
It's like software. It's a software of life. I mean, we have 48 drugs today in development.
48.
48 today. And there's 50 more in the labs cooking.
While Moderna's products are not designed to alter genes, but to cure diseases and develop vaccines. It is also true that mRNA technology has made humanity more open to gene and cell therapies, a view echoed by Stefan Ulrich, an executive at Bayer.
The mRNA vaccines are an example for that cell and gene therapy. I always like to say, if we had surveyed 2 years ago in the public, would you be willing to take a gene or cell therapy and inject it into your body, we would have probably had a 95% refusal rate. I think this pandemic has also opened many people's eyes to innovation. Many people's eyes to innovation.
By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago.
Toby, a 39-year-old mother of 2 sons and wife to a wonderful husband, experienced a life-changing turn after getting the mRNA vaccine.
It was very hard for my husband to watch me suffer the way I did, and my children didn't know what was going on. You know, I didn't know if I was going to live till the next day, and I had to have these hard conversations with my children, you know, that I don't know if mommy's going to make it.
After the vaccine, she became bedridden with painful neurological symptoms, turning each moment into a horrific struggle. Could autoimmunity cause Toby's symptoms, where a dysregulated immune system attacks her nerves? Vaccines can dysregulate the immune system, triggering autoimmunity. The body attacks itself, potentially damaging nerves.
I started suffering with severe vertigo. I felt like there was electric raindrops dropping on my skin. I had burning sensations in my brain. I was having audible hallucinations. I was suffering from aura migraines, tremors, internal vibrations, excruciating leg pains. My veins were bulging and burning. I developed POTS. I had lost an extreme amount of weight. I have extreme joint pain, muscle atrophy. The list is endless. I was afraid to fall asleep at night because I didn't know if I was going to wake up.
Over the course of 60 years of mRNA research, early studies failed to make mRNA work. Simply injecting mRNA caused dangerous immune reactions and was highly inefficient. Until Robert Malone took it to the next level. Robert Malone's team made major breakthroughs proving that mRNA could be used as a drug. By using lipids to protect the fragile mRNA, they successfully made it work in human cells. Yet, the toxicity of these lipids remained a decades-long challenge.
Again and again and again, those trials failed. The industry has been plagued with the problem that these formulations are toxic. Now, there had been improvements in the technology, or alterations at least, since I had abandoned the field in the late 1990s because of the inflammation and toxicity of the formulations.
Their discovery led to a monumental medical breakthrough.
This year's Nobel Prize recognizes
Katalin Karikó and Drew Weissman made a Nobel Prize-worthy discovery, engineering mRNA to be nearly invisible to the immune system. Unmodified foreign mRNA is very fragile and potentially dangerous to use. This modified version of mRNA is more potent, durable, and less likely to cause harmful inflammation.
Karikó and Weissman, and so they took the U out of and put pseudouridine in there and produced a molecule that it's a kind of a modified synthetic thing. And that worked considerably better because the RNA doesn't degrade, it stays around for a long period of time, and the pseudouridine appears to suppress some of the inflammation.
They intentionally made messenger RNA synthetic for Pfizer and Moderna. This increased the efficiency to the maximum.
Using too much pseudouridine may cause errors in ribosome reading, leading to malfunctions. A research team at Cambridge University found that, with these vaccines, about 10% of the time, the cellular machinery produced faulty proteins instead of the intended spike protein. While the researchers did not observe any harm with these proteins and assured that the issue could be fixed, the bigger question is how this was missed and whether there are more things overlooked. This modified RNA should be cleared from our bodies within days, but more research is needed to understand why it sometimes lingers much longer in some individuals.
There was statements made that the RNA only stays in your body for a brief period of time. Well, that's true for natural RNA, but this is not a natural RNA, this is a synthetic product. The pharmaceutical industry and the governments misrepresented this to patients.
As recently as 2017, just 3 years before the pandemic, mRNA technology was still in the experimental phase, with challenges in toxicity, biodistribution, and very limited human testing.
Sort of RNA area. Could you talk us through, where we're at, how optimistic you are?
There's early animal data that shows real promise.
In 2017, a Stat News investigation reported that Moderna's mRNA therapy for a rare disease failed in animal studies due to lipid particle toxicity. The company has since improved the safety of its technology. Since the 90s, mRNA technology has made remarkable progress. becoming much safer and more controlled, thanks to brilliant scientists and the decades-long coordination of U.S. scientific and military agencies. But for a global vaccination campaign, it had to be more than just an exciting technology in development. It had to be truly flawless.
The people working in the field believed that they had developed compounds and formulations that were not toxic, were not inflammatory, and would remain localized at the site of injection in the draining lymph nodes. And that became the storyline that all accepted.
Stay at home during this pandemic.
A global vaccination program without a vaccine that hasn't been fully developed yet.
You get the overwhelming majority of the country vaccinated.
mRNA vaccines took the spotlight as one of the leading candidates for a COVID vaccine.
Today, we're meeting with the pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies.
How can we make it faster?
We were able to go so fast because we were working for many years with the NIH, and we had worked with Dr. Fauci's team.
The former CDC director, Robert Redfield, was surprised by the strong preference for mRNA vaccines over traditional proven technologies.
Debbie Birx and I were on the board, and we voted for the protein vaccines to be included. Birx and I felt this is, 50-year technology. Let's go with it. And part of the reason we didn't win is everyone didn't think it was sexy enough. All right, the mRNA was new, it was sexy. There was a pretty heavy bias by other people in the room.
It's fascinating that on the mRNA technologies, Moderna had never safely brought a product to market ever before.
But that same company has never brought an approved vaccine to market.
It's never produced a commercial product before.
Drew Griffin explains why so many people are pinning their hopes on this unproven technology.
So why in the world were we allowing companies with no experience in the vaccine realms to produce a product to be used around the world? Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, admitted, he said, he went to a scientist and said, why are we using mRNA technology? We've only been researching this for 2.5 years. And they just turned around and said to him, it's because it's what we're doing.
He came and suggested to me mRNA, and it was very counterintuitive, the decision. I told them, are you sure? If you do that, this is not going to be only the first COVID vaccine, that will be the first vaccine ever. And they felt strongly about it. And I had to place my trust on them, and I did.
But was it too much of a leap to go from no approved mRNA vaccines to deploying them to billions? The COVID vaccine trials were critical for evaluating mRNA technology's potential concerns about toxicity and biodistribution.
How do we know if these vaccines are working?
It takes about a decade, about 10 years, and well over $1 billion to bring a vaccine to market. But the decision was made that there was not sufficient time. What was done was to run very limited clinical trials of very short-term duration.
There needs to be some compromise in some of the safety measures that would normally be expected.
They overlapped the studies and were allowed to submit earlier research data. Before the pandemic, the FDA sometimes treated mRNA vaccines as gene therapy products, but now they are recognized as genetic vaccines. Critics argue that by treating these vaccines as traditional vaccines rather than genetic vaccine platforms, regulators may have bypassed certain safety checks.
There was a strong effort to deny that this was gene therapy technology, because if it was acknowledged that it was gene therapy technology used for vaccination purposes, then a whole different set of regulatory tests would have had to have been performed.
Regulatory agencies and public health experts declare that mRNA vaccines underwent rigorous safety and efficacy evaluations both before and after approval, with no critical steps bypassed. They emphasize that these vaccines have saved millions of lives with minimal harm. And ongoing safety monitoring shows no significant risks.
This vaccine, the mRNA vaccines, probably saved about 3 million lives.
The former CDC director is skeptical about mRNA technology's future in vaccines, but sees promise in therapeutics, including for rare diseases.
The mRNA technology will not be used in vaccines. Okay, let's fast forward 3 years. But I do think the mRNA technology will be used in therapeutics.
After spending a lot of time and money on treatments, Toby and her husband face financial ruin.
My injury has cost us over $70,000, and I don't even know if I can fully heal, or, it's definitely put me in the right direction, but it's landed us in financial ruins, and to where our credit's been ruined. We had to take out major loans, and now we're filing for bankruptcy. So it's completely devastated us.
If you have an adverse event, or your child has an adverse event, you are on your own. From a compensation standpoint, you're literally hosed. The regulatory agencies and the pharma companies are completely immune to prosecution. So we can't sue them and try to get financial recourse after our injuries. And it's wrong, it's evil. These people are abandoned. Many people are devastated from the standpoint of their finances, they're physically devastated, and they're often emotionally devastated.
Paul Merrick and his team at the Independent Medical Alliance are tirelessly researching and developing treatment protocols for long-term COVID and COVID vaccine injuries.
Clearly, there are people out there suffering, and they're often desperate. The focus of this conference is on spike-related disease, which is mainly, vaccine injured. And the people here are really, their mission is to help those that are less fortunate and those that have suffered.
All right, spike protein. Obviously, the conference is around spike protein.
I also want to thank Brad Dressen, who's my co-chair of RAC 19. This is a time when we all can share our individual experiences with regards to COVID and those injured by the COVID shots, and be able to collaborate and try to hopefully move forward to develop better diagnostics and treatments.
It's really hard to understand this unless you're living it. This experience has been the most isolating experience of my life. So I can't wait to be around my fellow vaxxed injured. But also the doctors at the frontline COVID critical care, because they have been tremendous. Dr. Merrick has been an angel within the community.
The team we have are truly outstanding people who absolutely committed to what we're doing. It's like a family, these are my family. I think our goal is to educate, to empower people.
Are you going to succeed in this goal?
Of course. I mean, there's absolutely no way we can fail. I think, we've come this far. You can just see the affection and kindness of the people that are here today. This is part of a community, and I hope this community will grow bigger and bigger to the extent that we will be able to persuade other people to see the truth and to see the light, because that's what we stand for.
And the truth should prevail, at all costs. And the sacrifices we continue to make to get the truth out there will continue. And so I would encourage people, wake up.
The truth is the most sensational thing that you could ever report. It's always going to be what people want to hear.
We must continue to speak our truth.
We fight evil through love. What we're about at React 19 is really spreading love and caring for our fellow human beings. And I really think in the end, that's the story that will defeat the evil that we're up against.
If this film matters to you, please share it and help start the conversation. For official guidance, visit the website of your regulatory agency and consult with your healthcare provider. Communities like React 19 and the Independent Medical Alliance provide connection and support for individuals navigating post-vaccine health challenges.